Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Tomatolito Show. And what an awesome fight we had between, and if not awesome, definitely interesting. It was definitely one that had you tuned in round after round. And I'm talking, of course, about the big heavyweight showdown to close out 2020 in the heavyweight division. And that was the match between Anthony Joshua, Kubrat Pulev. And what an interesting flow of momentum. What an interesting way that things were playing out. Let's dive right into it. I mean, the story of the fight was the on Anthony Joshua's side, the uppercuts. Wow, uppercuts in bunches that he managed to land. Good jab overall. That third round was epic, where that's the positive and the negative. He almost had Kubrat Pulev out, and he didn't close the show. And that's one of the criticisms that I started hearing about yesterday. One of the things that I took away from the fight was exactly that. As soon as that third round was happening, you saw the jab. You saw both of them start fairly hesitant in the first round, not much action. Second round, somewhat continued. You saw the size difference, as I was telling you. It was going to be. I figured it was going to be a bit of an issue for Kubrat Pulev to get in. So he started making attempts at basically lunging forward with the single jab, with the single left jab. He had some success with it early in the fight, but not much. The story of the fight in the first half of the fight was definitely Anthony Joshua. Uppercuts, punches, power punches, significant strikes on behalf of Joshua. That third round seemed to be pretty epic, where he drops Kubrat Pulev. A lot of things happen there, right? At one point, he has Pulev against the ropes. Pulev turns his back to the referee and to the opponent, walking towards a corner. That was interesting because I think any other fight, the referee probably would have waved it. It's almost like a sign of wanting out, turning your back and looking away. Nonetheless, they give him the standing 8. He gets back in. He's still talking. He's jawing at Anthony Joshua, just launching comments, smiling at him, and he gets back in it. And that was a story for me. The big takeaway on behalf of Kubrat Pulev was the heart, the chin, that fire that he was fighting with, or at least wanting to stick it out. I learned something new about Kubrat Pulev, and he's not an easy task for anybody in the heavyweight division, whomever that may be in the future. Not a lot of boxing on behalf of Kubrat. He was very limited in his attack. Nonetheless, he started having success, and that's where the momentum started switching. Anthony Joshua, when I saw the barrage of punches that he landed, the uppercuts in bunches that he was just landing on Kubrat, drops him twice, right? The second time when they end up counting him on the standing 8, that was a huge round for Anthony Joshua, but doesn't manage to close the show. And immediately I start thinking, oh no, he possibly punched himself out, and we're going to see a whole Andy Ruiz situation here all over again. The next round happened. It doesn't look like Joshua was recovering that quick, not a lot of output on his behalf. And you start seeing Kubrat coming forward, start landing. He had some success with that single jab, the single left jab, and he started landing. There was a couple moments where he hit throughout the fight. There was a couple moments where he hit Anthony Joshua with some significant punches, and you got a reaction and a smile out of Joshua, nodding his head as if it didn't hurt. And normally, as you know, whenever the fighter acknowledges that it doesn't hurt, or they jaw back at the guy who just landed those heavy punches, then it usually means that it hurt. Hey, good punch, you got me good, but not good enough to take me out. So Kubrat had some success. Single jab was the key for him, and lunging forward, at times he landed that double jab, all by way of the left hand. Very little success with the power right. Nonetheless, he started coming back in the fight, and it almost took Anthony Joshua about 2 to 3 rounds to recover and get his second wind, and that led you close to the 6th round, the end of the 6th round, and towards the closing, right, where he ends up just putting Kubrat out. Strong, straight punches just down the barrel, and in which he managed to close the show there against Kubrat Pulev. Puts him out. You start thinking right away, at least for me, I start thinking, how much damage did Kubrat suffer this? He is an older fighter at 39 years old. who knows what damage that did to Kubrat Pulev and how well he was going to recover immediately as the fight is waved off and Anthony's declared a winner. They're still both in the ring, and it seems like he recovered fairly quick. He's actually congratulating Anthony Joshua. They're smacking gloves. He's celebrating for him. And it seems like he was very responsive. So mentally and physically, it doesn't look like he took a lot of damage. It looks like he'll be fine to come back maybe in the next 2-3 months. And against a top-tier opponent, that was my biggest takeaway. His heart, the manage to stick it out and to continue to find ways, trying to find ways. The height was a big issue for him. The respect for the power that he had for Anthony Joshua, even though he was jawing and smiling at Joshua, he had the respect because he was getting hurt and he was getting dropped. So he hesitated in making his fight and fighting his type of fight. Nonetheless, it was impressive to see how much he's able to handle and how live of a dog he is to be willing to stick it out and keep pushing forward. For Joshua, great win, right? He cements his foot once again as the who's who in the heavyweight division, and he's sitting right alongside Tyson Fury. That's the matchup that we got to make. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua should be the next big matchup in the heavyweight division to decide who the lineal and the undisputed champion is of the heavyweights in our current landscape. Anthony Joshua, there was 3 different versions that I saw of him. I didn't like the clinching. It was almost like a la Klitschko, where he's punching and grabbing. It was a quick jab and grab. Anytime Pulev tried to go forward, it was a quick grab, a quick clinch, and it was just that started kind of bothering me about AJ. I'm not accustomed to seeing him do that, and it seems like that was around the times that he was where he was gasping, or at least trying to recover and catch his second wind, let his second wind kick in. And I didn't like that at all. The way he started a little bit slow, but it's understandable. It's a 4-year layoff. He hadn't fought since last December against Andy Ruiz. Nonetheless, he got into the groove of things. By the end of the second and the third round, he started finding his groove and back at it. The one problem I have with Anthony Joshua is that barrage that he's not able to close the show against this better opposition. This is a top tier opposition that he's continuously facing now. And maybe it worked with the lower ranked fighters as he was making a name for himself. These guys are starting to withstand that type of punishment. They got better chins. They got a lot more heart. They got a lot more guts. And his barrage of punches, although it was very impressive in his early stages in his career, against this type of opposition, if he punches himself out again, he's going to be in trouble. And he seems to do it just going all out without any measure, trying to get the opponent out. And then it's the, oh boy, this guy's still here. And then he's struggling to get back out there because he punches himself out. I saw signs of that, flashes of what happened in that first fight against Andy Ruiz. And so there was 3 ways, the way that he ended up winning the fight, similar to the way that he controlled the fight against Andy Ruiz in the rematch last year. And that's the way that he had success early in the fight and towards the end of the fight, the latter part of the fight, before he closed the show and knocks out, puts away Kubrat Pulev. Now you see the clinching and grabbing, and that's most likely because he was out of breath. He punched himself out a little bit there to try to get Kubrat out. That's gonna be a downfall for him with Tyson Fury. If he tries to pull that thing on Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury's durable, and even if he's able to put Tyson Fury down on the mat once, Fury's gonna get up. I don't see him getting stopped. Plus, the height and the reach advantage would be on the Fury side, so he would have to have a near boxing match in a boxing display, much like he did on the rematch against Andy Ruiz, not willing to fight in the pocket, not willing to engage the power, but fight from the outside and fight a smart fight. If he punches himself out against Tyson Fury, he's going to get picked apart. Tyson Fury, to me, although Joshua has very good boxing, Tyson Fury, to me, is the better of the 2 boxers. And what an awesome way to close 2020 in the heavyweight division with a setup of what could be Joshua and Fury next. That is the fight to make, and I hope we don't get anything less. I hope that's the fight that we get next. By that same token, let's look at the rest of the heavyweight division, because this matchup sets up the rest of the heavyweight division. We have some big matchups. If I was to be the matchmaker, Kubrat Pulev to me would be a perfect opponent for Deontay Wilder. Stop trying to do the Wilder Fury 3. Let's get Joshua and Tyson Fury right next in the ring and figure out who the lineal, the undisputed champ at the heavyweight division is, and who's the one that owns that throne. Let's finish that debate. Let's let them get back in the ring. Deontay Wilder, Kubrat Pulev having 2 losses, both by way of stoppage, one to Klitschko, and now recently to Anthony Joshua. A perfect opponent for Deontay Wilder. I would actually give a little bit of the advantage to Kubrat Pulev by way of boxing, especially if he attacks the same way, which I would see that he would have a similar attack, very similar to what he tried with Joshua. Because of the height difference and the reach difference, that it would be favoring Deontay Wilder. Kubrat would have to attack similarly by way of the single jab and the double jab, trying to lunge forward. And he most likely would have, Deontay's not one to be clinching a lot, not on the defensive. Usually Deontay tries to clinch more on the offensive, more so than the defensive. And I think Kubrat would end up having success with that overhand right and that power right that he wasn't able to successfully land and hurt Joshua consistently last night. Nonetheless, Kubrat would be a perfect matchup for both. That would be an awesome fight to see. Also, Usyk got mentioned yesterday. Alexander Usyk, he's already cementing his place in the heavyweight division. I would love to see Usyk against Joe Joyce, who's coming off that awesome victory against Daniel Dubois a few weeks back. Joyce and Usyk had some unfinished business from back in 2013. I believe it was 2013 when they fought each other in the World Series of Boxing. At the stage in which both fighters find themselves in right now, they're at that heavyweight peak for each of their careers. This would be a perfect time in the next few months to get Usyk and Joe Joyce. Also, Andy Ruiz, I would love for him to set up a fight against King Kong, against Luis Ortiz. That would be the perfect fight for both of them. That would be a pick'em fight. It would be a bettor's dream. The who's who, where do you put your money on that fight? Rather than Andy Ruiz being set to fight and come back, it didn't happen. It hasn't materialized this December against Chris Arreola. That would be, although a good tune-up fight for Andy Ruiz, I don't think he needs a tune-up fight. Just get back in there. A perfect opponent would be Luis Ortiz, in my opinion, and that would be an awesome fight. You got the power and boxing for boxing aficionados. That would be an awesome fight to see. Both of them have good boxing. Reach would favor Luis Ortiz, and but the speed, the hand speed, and the boxing skill, I think, would slightly favor Andy Ruiz. That would be an interesting fight, a pick'em fight. Who else? Daniel Dubois. Luckily, there was mention that he may have taken some severe damage to that eye, should he have continued against Joe Joyce. So lucky for him that he did take the knee and that he bowed out of the match. The upside is for him right now, and all depending on what type of opposition he picks next. I think an awesome fight for Daniel Dubois to bounce back would be against up-and-coming prospect, that Cuban fighter Frank Sanchez. Awesome display of boxing that he does. Good pedigree fighter, good boxing on his behalf. Dubois, Frank Sanchez would be an awesome fight as well. So the heavyweight division, we're starting to see it break up. The landscape is so exciting with the matchups that we could have here in the coming future. Dillian Whyte, Povetkin also set for the rematch in what was an amazing fight this past summer. The heavyweight division is at an all-time best right now, and it's been a while since I've been this excited about the heavyweight division, and not just myself, but you name it, the fans, the boxing fans, the aficionados, the hardcore fans. This is an awesome time for the heavyweight division. These matchups, if I was a matchmaker, that would be Dubois against Frank Sanchez, Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz, Wilder, Kubrat Pulev, Joe Joyce, Alexander Usyk. Of course, Dillian Whyte and Povetkin are already set to fight, and we gotta see Joshua Tyson Fury. Let's finish that debate and put it to an end once and for all. with that, I leave you guys. Awesome fight that we saw yesterday. Some flows. We learned a lot about both fighters yesterday, and I have a whole new respect for Kubrat Pulev. Not being a hater by not giving him much of a chance against Joshua, I just didn't see how he could actually beat Joshua. He ends up losing, of course. The height was a problem. The power was a problem. That reach was a problem for him, much like I anticipated. Nonetheless, I walk away with a new appreciation for his style of fight, for his style of boxing, and the amount of heart that he steps into that ring with. And for Joshua, he's got to figure out that style. We know what worked for him, and he's got to figure out how to not gas out. He goes all out trying to put these opponents out, but he's dealing with the top tier of opponents now, and they're not going to stay down. They're coming back at him. So if he gasses out against Tyson Fury, I see problems for Anthony Joshua. So hopefully he's able to mitigate that. Congratulations to the heavyweight division. You have left us yearning for more, and what a great heavyweight closeout for 2020. What a great matchup we had to close out this year and to close out the heavyweight division matchups. Noticeable or notable, I guess. So I leave you guys with that. Thank you guys again for tuning into the Tomatolito Show, and I have some more episodes coming here in the next coming days. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk soon.